Google Pixel 7 Pro Review. Their sales may be lower than those of competitors like Apple and Samsung, but their Pixel phones continue to offer good choices for those who want cameras and software instead of pure hardware power. The Pixel 7 Pro offers another version of the phone. With the release of the iPhone 14 and the Galaxy S22 lines, there haven't been any major improvements made to these phones since they were released last year. The Pixel 7 Pro has some cool new things, but they're not immediately obvious unless you know where to look. Google has replaced the rather bland design of the previous generation of Pixel phones with an even better looking phone. It matches the new look of Android 12 perfectly. After such a big upgrade last month, the Pixel 7 Pro isn't so different from its predecessor. It's a very curved smartphone and one that feels really good to hold no matter how tall it is compared to an iPhone 14 Pro Max. The standout feature is the camera bar, or camera bar as we call it, which runs across the top and down the sides of the screen. This now stands out against the phone's rear glass panel, which is covered in a dark matte finish. The device comes in a black variant, so the contrasting white bar really pops out. This is a much better choice than the gray version found with the Pixel 6 series. A camera bar is a place where dust collects and dirt accumulates. It's also a place where your phone inevitably ends up after taking photos. The Pixel 7 Pro features an IP68 rating for waterproofing, a USB-C port at the bottom for fast charging, and an in-display fingerprint sensor that doesn't require you to swipe your finger across the screen. Google has also added facial recognition unlocking. This remains software-based without any of the skills required by Apple's Face ID. The biggest improvement over last year's models is the larger screen size. That means you can watch movies without having to zoom out your browser window. But if you do decide to go full screen, you won't find yourself staring at a small black bar at the top of the screen. You'll see everything you expect to see on a large smartphone, including video playback controls along the bottom. And if you're watching something on YouTube, Google Play Movies and TV, Hulu, or any other streaming service, you can also access those apps directly from the home screen. The rest of the display remains pretty much the same as the previous Pixel phones. Google's smooth display technology allows the screen to automatically adjust its resolution and frame rate depending on what you're working on. For intensive games or smooth scrollings, it can go from 60 Hz up to 120 Hz, which drops down to 10 Hz for less demanding activities. You won't be able to get to 1 Hz for its always-on screen, something you'll find on the iPhone. The 1080p 5.5-inch LCD display is quite good, particularly for such a low price. Pixel 4a starts out at a lower resolution than the OnePlus 8 Pro and Huawei P30 Pro, but it also costs half as much. In my experience, the screen can get washed out if you're viewing something bright outdoors, so you might want to consider getting a case. Since its introduction, the Pixel line has produced some excellent smartphone camera systems. However, they haven't always been the best overall. There's something about the way Google processes photos and focuses on punchy, contrast-heavy shots with wonderful color reproduction that really appreciate. When choosing between the Pixel 7 Pro, the iPhone 14, and the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, none of them takes a bad photo. The Pixel 7 Pro comes with the same rear camera setup as last year's Pixel 6 Pro, including a 48-megapixel sensor with an f/2.0 aperture, a 20-megapixel sensor with an f/1.8 aperture, a 5-megapixel sensor, and a 2-megapixel sensor. But unlike the Pixel 6 Pro, the Pixel 7 Pro doesn't come with a second telephoto lens. That means no portrait mode shots, something we really miss about Google's phones. With its battery life and performance, the Pixel 7 Pro isn't really worth buying. You may want to consider waiting for the next generation instead.